Hello and welcome. My name is Kathleen Lovito, and I will be your host for today's webinar on managing your money in 2021. Our presenter today is Garrett Sorensen, Relationship Manager with AAFMAA Wealth Management and Trust. Before we begin, here's some quick background on the company. This webinar series is brought to you by AAFMAA Wealth Management and Trust. Our mission is to be the premier provider of financial planning, investment management, and trust services to the American Armed Forces community. AAFMAA Wealth Management and Trust is a fully owned subsidiary of AAFMAA. AAFMAA has proudly served America's armed forces since 1879. AAFMAA is a nonprofit, tax-exempt 501c23 member-owned mutual aid association, offering life insurance to all branches of the U.S. Armed Forces and their families. Also, a few disclaimers. This presentation is educational. It is for general information only and is not specific investment, legal, or tax advice for any of you individually. Do not rely on this presentation alone to guide your investment management decisions. Since each situation is unique, your needs for financial services will differ. For individual advice, please contact us directly. We produce this webinar series in-house with our own professional staff as a service to our members to help them better understand the resources available to them. We have highlighted here two distinct characteristics that separate AAFMAA Wealth Management and Trust from other service providers. One, our fiduciary standard, which requires us to always act in our clients' best interests. And two, we exclusively serve the U.S. Armed Forces community. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to Garrett to begin the presentation.
Welcome to my webinar on managing your money in the new normal. Now, unless you've been living under a rock for the past year, the term new normal should not be a new one for you. It's been used as a buzzword for several different topics during the pandemic, and it will continue to play a part during the recovery process. But you might be asking yourself, what does the new normal mean for my financial life? Will managing my money change from this onset of the quote unquote new normal? These are questions I hope to answer with this webinar today. So let's start off with, what is the new normal? It's more than just a buzzword to describe how things are going to be after we have recovered from this pandemic. The fact of the matter is, we're 1 year later from when the WHO and former President Trump declared a pandemic and national emergency, and we are still experiencing the effects of COVID-19. Working from home, Zoom, virtual happy hours have taken the place of complaining about the morning traffic, meeting face-to-face, and getting a drink of coffee with colleagues and friends. What some people are calling the lockdown year has brought all new challenges for everyone. For some people, this was a reason to stay home and keep others safe. Some people lost their jobs and still haven't returned to work. Others were forced to change careers or learn a new skill just to survive. This past year caused just about every one of us to change our plans or adopt to a new way of doing things. I know for me personally, just the challenge of not getting to spend time together with friends, families, clients, new people was one of the biggest challenges I had to face. It has been a physically and emotionally draining year for just about everyone. It hasn't just been a challenge for people. Businesses have had to overcome and adapt to never before seen challenges. Businesses that originally never saw the benefit in moving to a digital era were forced to adopt this new platform quickly. Those that couldn't struggled to maintain, and many were not able to survive. Business digitization is a change that will be slow to revert back to. As we look to the future, traveling and gathering together are still areas of unknown. These have the potential for substantial changes we still don't even know about yet. Needless to say, the quote unquote new normal is still changing, and we still don't know all the things that are going to impact us going forward. COVID-19 has also changed the way we spend and save our money. We're traveling less, eating in more. While some have lost jobs, others have more to put away for retirement, and most Americans cite change in their financial priorities directly related to the pandemic. So what does the research say? Specifically, what does research say about dealing with stressful situations and our money? Whether you've been directly impacted by COVID or not, this has been a stressful year for most people. There have been more changes in a one-year time frame than most people have ever seen. A recent Pew Research study showed that environmental threats to a person's well-being triggers physiological stress, which remains beyond the actual event. Whether it was COVID, The riots during the summer, the market volatility, losing a job, starting a new job, the administration change, not seeing friends and family, not getting to travel, or anything else that we experienced in 2020, it's safe to say we all experience stress. The thing is, we aren't even out of this stress yet. We're still dealing with the effects of the pandemic, even as more people are getting vaccinated and cities and states begin to reopen. According to the Pew Research, even after we are past the events of COVID-19, we will still be dealing with the physiological stress. And we're not even past it yet. So it's all that much more important that we are dealing with the stresses of our lives to ensure we can manage what life has to throw at us. When we talk about stress, nearly 3/4 of society say that finances are the number one stressor in their life. Yes, even over politics, work, and family issues. How many of you have heard of couples having problems or even filing for divorce because of their finances? Parents worry about how they can pay for college for their kids or help pay for a wedding or help with a down payment for a house. Children might be worried about their parents being able to survive in retirement if something ever happened to them that hurt them financially. There's a lot that people might worry about when it comes to their finances. So, what can we do? Well, another study showed that 72% of households do not have a written financial plan. When I was in the Army, we used to always say, not having a plan is the same as planning to fail. You wouldn't conduct a major military operation without having a plan, right? Yet, too many of us are conducting our household financials without any real written plan to help guide us. Is this working? Well, I think since 72% of people say their number one stress is finance, it's safe to say not as much as we think. As a matter of fact, we see that those with a financial plan feel better about their finances after just 1 year. And that's huge. Imagine if someone came to you and said they could eliminate your number one stress in life with a high degree of certainty. You can't put a price tag on that sort of peace of mind. The research shows that the best way to deal with financial stress in the new normal will be having a good financial plan. Let's talk a little bit about how things are going to change specifically. First off, you may have heard the term cash is king. Well, in the new normal, we are saying liquidity is king, specifically having enough liquidity to cover your expenses for 3 to 6 months. Now, this isn't a new concept. Financial advisors have been telling people to save 3 to 6 months as a savings buffer for years. Yet, in a recent study done just before the pandemic, almost 40% of households didn't have enough saved to cover expenses for even 3 months, the very minimum of that. Now that we have seen firsthand how long something like a pandemic can last in our society, I think we have moved into a place where we can see the value in having more in liquid assets to use for short and even midterm emergencies. More people will start having increasing liquid balances to cover emergencies going forward. Next, digitization is here to stay. We at AAFMAA Wealth Management Trust benefited from the fact that we have been supporting our clients remotely almost since day one of opening our doors. Other companies and industries weren't so lucky. We've seen now that thousands of professions that before COVID required an office or a cubicle can be done just as effectively, if not more so, with employees working from home. Just about every one of us has been on a Zoom, Skype, or other video platform for some kind of meeting. I know personally, I've conducted more meetings via phone or Zoom in the past year than I ever have before. While it's challenging, still being able to connect with others is an important aspect for me. So finding new ways to make this happen has been a very important part of adapting to the new normal. Whether it was a professional meeting, a virtual doctor's visit, school from home, having a virtual birthday party for a child or a grandchild, virtual meetings are something we have seen as the way of the world going forward. While getting back to face-to-face meetings will be a big benchmark for the recovery of our country, I think virtual meetings are something we will not get rid of completely. Volatility in the markets is something institutional investors have claimed to be able to predict in the past, right? Well, in the new normal, where a Reddit user that goes by the name of Roaring Kitty can cause a bull run on otherwise dying stocks with just a few posts on a website, we can see that volatility will be much harder to predict. So many times this past year, I remember seeing analysts and other financial experts just baffled by what was taking place in the markets. Jobless claims would be high, entire industries would be near bankruptcy, People are hoarding toilet paper and milk like the zombie apocalypse. And yet, what are the markets doing? Reaching all times high for the year, breaking daily records, of course. Yet, talks of stimulus and recovery plans cause dips in the market. It doesn't seem to make much sense anymore. So, having a well diversified portfolio that is aligned with your risk tolerance and time horizon is more important now than ever. Another big thing that will be here to stay is having a focus on our mental well being, not just financially, but our mental well being with all aspects of our life should have really come into focus this past year. The value of spending time with loved ones or the benefit of catching up by the water cooler is seen more valuable than ever now. I think the new normal will include having more focus on our mental well being going forward. As we've seen from the research, with finances potentially being the top stressor for most people, getting this aspect down will be huge in the new normal. Maybe a new mental well-being aspect for you will be having more insurance or saving more money or gifting more, investing more. There is no right or wrong answer, just ensuring that what you are doing is creating a better mental well-being for you. And then lastly, when it comes to planning for the future, I think we need to be much more versatile than before. Originally, retirees might have looked at retirement and made a plan to travel consistently for the first few years and then have it slow down as time goes on. As we sit today, where other countries are still struggling with new cases, different variations of COVID-19, and issues with vaccinations, it might be years before we see travel opening up like it was. Also, those who thought they had 5 to 10 years left before retirement might be looking at moving into retirement now. Others who thought they would move into retirement now might be looking at how much longer they can stay in the workforce. The fact is, our ability to plan for the future has been taken away from us for the past year. As we begin this planning again, we need to remain versatile and flexible. Now, that is kind of a big statement I just said. Our ability to plan has been taken away from us for the past year. Now that we're looking at how things are going to change in the new normal, how can we start the planning process for our future again? These are just a few steps to consider when it comes to creating your plan. First off, write down your goals. A favorite saying of mine is a goal that isn't written down is just a dream, and our dreams are often forgotten by the morning. Write down your goals for the future and make sure you share them with those that can help you accomplish your goals. Next, write down things you must consider for your goals. For instance, what is the time frame? What obstacles can I foresee now? How much will it cost me to accomplish the goal, or how much will I need to reach this goal? You might not be able to think about all the things to consider, but having a list of items written down will ensure you are thinking about the right things and putting the right steps together. Next, you need to have a written plan with direct and measurable steps that ensure you can accomplish your goals, taking into account all the considerations you just talked about. This is not the part to rush and opt for the cheapest, easiest option. Make sure you feel confident that your plan is going to work for you and ensure you can accomplish your goals. During the implementation of the plan, we need to be able to be proactive instead of reactive. This is where all the considerations should come into play. Does your plan take into account another lockdown? What happens if the markets become volatile again? That can always happen. Do you have the liquidity to cover an emergency now, or does the plan need to wait until you're recovering all your bases? There are plenty of things to consider here, and it brings us right into our last point. Have a trusted professional on your side to help you navigate the more complex issues of the plan. If you had a plan made before March 2020, have you considered how the CARES Act might have changed your plan? What about the newest round of stimulus payments and changes? Being able to have a reliable and trusted professional in your corner to help you understand how these might impact your plan is invaluable when it comes to the peace of mind you receive from knowing that your goal is going to be reached. Even before the pandemic, AAFMAA Wealth Management Trust had a structure in place to support our relationships during PCS moves, while others were in combat zones. We are set to connect with our members anywhere at any time to help them accomplish their financial goals. So, what do we do now? All right. So, create a picture of your goals and create a plan using the best tools and path available. Make sure your plan is testable and achievable. You don't want to just create a plan and then hope it works out for you. Make sure you can test it and make sure it is achievable. Get the help of a professional when needed, when it makes sense. If there's something that you're unsure about, having somebody in your corner is going to be invaluable. And then, of course, give yourself grace. It has been a tough year, and being able to get back into this idea of planning is not going to be easy for everybody. Give yourself grace as you're going through this process. So in conclusion, things have and will continue to change. Be open-minded and optimistic as we learn and deal with these changes. The quote unquote new normal will mean a new normal for your finances as well. Plan accordingly. Your finances have a direct impact on your well-being. Stress is something we all deal with in different ways. We should try to eliminate as much of it from our life as possible, and our finances are something that we can eliminate the stress from. Having a financial plan will systematically and effectively make your financial life easier. You wouldn't just wing it with a major military operation. Don't make that the plan for your finances. You have easier access today to a financial planner right in your living room, dining room, kitchen table, or back porch. The ability to find help is faster and easier today than ever. And of course, AAFMAA Wealth Management Trust is always available to help. Either myself or the other relationship managers here would be happy to offer free resources for you and be the trusted professional you can call to help you navigate the changes you might see in your plan. Our number one priority has remained our personal service to members. One relationship manager focused on your situation and your goals. Your new normal might just be finding the financial path you need. Please reach out with your questions for us. If you'd like to get in contact with me, my information is here on the screen. Please, please, please do reach out. You can reach me by my cell phone, 615-578-5574. Of course, you can reach me at my email, gsorensen@afma.com. I'm on LinkedIn as well, Garrett-Sorensen-AFMA. I've also got Facebook. It would mean a lot to me if you could stop by and drop a like there, or you can reach me at Twitter, and of course, the AFMA website from there. Thank you so much for attending my webinar today, and I look forward to talking with you soon. Thanks.